Imagine if everything you believe about heaven was incomplete. What if the vision you have of a perfect paradise, where everyone rests in peace, was just one part of a much deeper and more surprising truth? In this video, we will reveal the secrets of heaven according to the Bible, a reality that perhaps no one has ever told you about. This is a journey that goes far beyond clouds and angels, exploring biblical mysteries, hidden revelations, and a completely different vision of what heaven really means. You may think you already know everything about the sky, but I can guarantee you, what we're going to show you here today will change your perspective forever. This is one of those videos that you can't just watch halfway through, because every detail is crucial to understanding the whole. Throughout the video, we'll sell surprising layers of the Bible, exploring topics like the first, second, and third heavens, who really gets into heaven and what the new earth means. Therefore, it is important that you follow every second, as one detail can completely transform your vision of what heaven is. And before we start this journey that will open your mind, I want to ask you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This really helps us to bring more and more deep and impactful content like this. Leaving a like is quick, but it makes all the difference so that more people discover the truth about heaven according to the Bible. So, together, we can share this knowledge and question the common ideas we hear around, unveiling one of humanity's biggest questions. So, if you too feel like there is something more to heaven, if you want to go beyond the stories you've always heard, stay with me until the end. Every second of this video will bring you closer to the truth, and I can guarantee this is a truth that will surprise you. What do we really know about heaven? For many, heaven is just a paradisiacal place where peace reigns, angels play harps, and souls rest for all eternity. But will this vision be close to the reality that the Bible reveals to us? Or are we more distant than we imagine about what happens above our heads? Get ready, because this journey will show you a side of heaven that could be completely different. The popular concept of heaven, so present in our culture, comes from many centuries of influence from religions and popular opinions. But does the Bible describe heaven like this? The ideas of a perfect paradise, full of harmony, are explored in Christian theology, but the truth is that the scriptures go far beyond these images. The Bible presents us with details and context that seem almost incomprehensible and that few of us have ever heard. And what is most curious is that the biblical heaven does not always refer to what we think. The term heaven in the Bible is not as simple as it seems. In ancient texts, written in Hebrew and Greek, the word for heaven also has different nuances. In Hebrew, the term Shemayim refers both to the physical sky, where the sun, moon, and stars are, and to a spiritual abode. In Greek, Ourenas brings a similar idea, but in an even more complex way. These linguistic concepts reveal to us that heaven in the Bible is both physical and spiritual, in addition to being perhaps the first mention of heaven that we find in the Bible is the Garden of Eden, that paradise where God walked with Adam and Eve. There, the idea of heaven and communion with God was manifested. Eden can be understood as an initial connection with heaven, a representation of what this divine dwelling could be like. But sin and the fall of man broke off this direct access, and Eden closed itself to us. Since then, heaven has become something sought after, To complicate things a little further, the Bible describes heaven on at least 3 different levels. Yes, there is not just one sky. In the biblical tradition, there is a division between the first, second, and third heavens. Each one has a role and a meaning. This may surprise those who have never heard of the subject, but the difference between them can change our perception of what heaven really is and what it is like. The first sky, according to the Bible, would be what we see just above our heads. The atmospheric sky, the space where birds fly, where clouds are, and where rain falls. For ancient people, this sky was already a sign of divine power, as food came from there in the form of rain, something essential for survival. But it is only the first level of this complex celestial construction, and we go further. The second heaven is the one that few of us have the chance to observe up close, outer space, where the stars, planets, and celestial bodies are. This level is where the ancients saw signs of something much greater, of a divine force controlling the universe. In ancient times, stars and constellations were believed to have a meaning, a divine order, something that connected the heavens to the earth. Today, we know that the universe is vast and full of mysteries, but is the sky mentioned in the scriptures limited to what telescopes can see? Then we look to the third heaven, the one described as the dwelling place of God. This part of the sky is the most mysterious and unreachable for us, as it is described as a place where the Creator himself dwells. The Apostle Paul, in one of his letters, mentions a personal experience in which he was caught up to the third heaven, where he saw and caught things that he could not describe. What did he see and hear? We don't know, but who actually gets to that place? Is there really a guaranteed paradise for everyone? The scriptures suggest that heaven is reserved only for a few, for those who faithfully follow God. Many interpret that this eternal home is not simply accessible to everyone, but rather to a special group who live in accordance with faith and divine teachings. This perspective challenges the most popular views about heaven as an automatic destination for everyone leading. Another point that intrigues Bible readers and readers is the idea of a new heaven and new earth, mentioned in prophecies about the end of times. The Bible tells us about a renewal of all things, a time when the old heaven and the old earth will pass away, giving way to a new state of existence where there is no more pain, sadness, or death. The promise of this new heaven is something that awakens hope in many. But are we ready to understand what this transformation really means? The book of Revelation, written by the Apostle John, contains the most developed and at the same time most enigmatic visions about heaven. In his visions, John described heaven as a dazzling place, with streets of gold and hidden with pearls, where multitudes praise God eternally. But in addition to the beauties, he also describes heaven as the scene of intense spiritual battles. The Bible tells us about angels and spiritual beings in a constant fight against evil, indicating that heaven can be a place of peace, but also of. Many wonder if heaven is a physical place or a state of mind, and the scriptures seem to give room for both interpretations. There are sections that. It is also important to mention that the Bible speaks of heavenly positions. In heaven, there are beings that serve God, such as angels and archangels, each with a specific function. These beings are in constant service, and the idea of a divine position leads us to believe that heaven is an organized place where each function has its value. Jesus told us about heaven in several graces and made promises about this place. He made a point that, "In my Father's house are many mansions." This phrase suggests that heaven is not just a place for rest, but also a place of welcome and belonging. Each person would have a space prepared especially for them, a promise that generates peace and hope in many. Throughout history, various religions and cultures have reflected their own versions of heaven, and these versions often have commonalities with the biblical view. But are these interpretations bringing us closer to the truth? The Bible seems to maintain an air of mystery, revealing enough to give us hope, but not revealing all the secrets. Over the centuries, the interpretation of the sky has changed, and today we live in a time where the sky is seen in a more symbolic, more individual, and less physical way. However, the mystery and fascination with the sky remains. After all, the promise of heaven is not about an escape from reality, but about a place, a state, and an experience that, according to the Bible, will be the full realization of human existence. Ultimately, heaven remains a promise of a future where peace is eternal, where pain does not exist, and where everyone will be reunited with the Creator. This promise leads us to a final and provocative reflection. After all, what does the sky really represent? Is it just a distant dream, reserved for the end of our journey, or can it have an impact on our lives here and now? The Bible, in several passages, suggests that heaven is not just a destination after death, but also a present reality, accessible to those who seek to live in accordance with God's teachings. Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, indicating that heaven, in some way, is also beginning to manifest itself among us here on earth. This means that heaven is not just a place we go, but also something we are invited to experience in small doses, through actions and choices that bring us closer to God's will. In other words, heaven is both a future promise and an experience we can begin to have now. This idea of a present sky invites us to reflect on our attitudes, relationships, and values. How can we live in a way that brings a little bit of heaven into our world? How can we make our daily lives a reflection of the values we hope to find in heaven? And perhaps this is precisely the key to understanding the depth of heaven according to the Bible, a place in a state of total communion with the divine. Heaven, in this sense, is not just a refuge to escape the pain of earth, but an invitation to an internal and profound transformation. By living in harmony with divine principles, we cultivate peace, love, and hope, values that are essential for a heavenly life. We then come to the conclusion that heaven, according to the Bible, is much more than a final destination or a simple home. It is a purpose, a promise, and a gift for those who seek to live with faith, guided by divine love. And by understanding this vision, we are challenged to reevaluate our beliefs and our way of living, recognizing that heaven may be closer than we imagine, not as a place, but as a reality that becomes increasingly present in our lives as we move closer to the purpose and peace that God intended for us from the beginning. So, for those who see heaven as just a distant and perfect place where we hope to one day go, the Bible brings a surprising message. Heaven, in all its complexity and mystery, is more than just a home. It is destiny. Those who seek to live with purpose and fullness. After all, the truth about heaven is that it is much more than we think. So, before closing, I want to invite you to leave a like if this content was revealed to you. This helps us bring more videos like this, which challenge what many of us have always understood. And more, share this video with your friends and family. Who knows? This truth might also open their eyes to new understanding. And of course, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our next videos. We have many more mysteries and revelations ahead, and each one of them can change the way you see the world and faith. So, stay here and follow our upcoming content. You will be even more surprised. Until next time,